So today we are reviewing Passing, and the movie, thank goodness, has the same name.
Thank God.
That always just makes me so much more happy when the movie has the same name.
Me too.
So let's talk about the book. All right. I know this was my pick.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to preface by saying the book came out in 1942.
Okay.
So it's close to 100 years old, so let's keep that in mind.
Although when you think about it, though, it being that old, it actually was really good.
I mean, compared to the others that we've read from like the 1920s.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You know, thank you for putting that into perspective, Lynn, because I forgot how old it was. But one of the reasons that I wanted to read it was because, you know, there's so much race and tension and things going on in the world today. So I just figured this would be a good book that we could just kind of read. And for me, just to see whether or not there are some similarities in this book compared to sort of what's going on in the world today. I don't know if you guys saw any. I couldn't really pinpoint a lot, except for, of course, passing, because there's so many people that try to pass for a different race to sort of fit in. But I think we also see a lot more people just trying to pass for a lot of other things just to fit in. And it's not necessarily about race these days, but I don't know. I'm curious. Did you guys find any of that in the book?
I didn't. Nothing that I can kind of pinpoint that relates to now.
So I was on this like TikTok rabbit hole, like when I read the book, and there was a she identifies as Caucasian, and she found out after her grandmother passed away that her grandmother was from like North Carolina, and she moved across the country to California, and they did like the ancestry DNA testing or whatever, and found out that she was African American. And she was like, I had no idea. And because her grandmother's life was so bad in North Carolina, whatever was going on with racial issues, North Carolina back then, she moved to California and built this whole life that was new, kind of denouncing her like culture and her past. And the younger girl, who was like now 30, 35, could not understand it. And so a lot of people were commenting and saying, like, you have to put yourself in the perspective of making that life choice to basically survive. Like, you can die at any moment, or you can choose a life to live, and it might not be the original culture that you are from, but you become passing because you have that privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I correlated the book to, like.
Yeah, and I would imagine that was hard for her to understand, because most people who have the privilege don't understand it, because it's such a natural way of life for them that they don't get that they have it.
Yep.
So you had something to add, Maria?
TikTok also.
No, I was just saying, yep, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what'd y'all think of the book? It was a little slow.
A little slow, a little boring, but
I liked the book. I didn't like the ending, but I liked the book.
That's what got me. Like, the story building up, it was interesting listening to them, because they didn't go into descriptions about how this person feels and why this happened and things of that nature. It was a little slow. Like, I probably would have liked a little bit more dynamic, but I don't know if it got more dynamic, would we had lost the sort of the point of it and what the characters are feeling. But the end was garbage. And I was just disgusted in the way the book ended.
right.
I thought it was cool. After I soaked it up and was pissed off. It's like, okay, you're coming up with your own ending, and does the ending even really matter? It's just all about all of the different views of each person and all the different twists and turns of everyone's life. You could see every direction of it. She's been passing all this time, getting everything she thought she wanted, and she still wasn't happy because she wanted to be with her people. She had to hide. Imagine going 9 months pregnant and terrified that your child might come out looking as if they were Black when you've lied, to the point where you can't have any more kids. Not that you don't want to, but you can't, because if you do, you never know what's going to happen.
And actively like making those jokes with her husband, like about race and stuff. So like,
hey, Nick,
you can't even be like, oh, well, it was something that I was hiding. No, you were like involved in the hate.
Yeah.
I don't know how that is possible. Like that would make me sick to my stomach.
It probably crushed her every day. And then looking at what's her name? Irene's life,
Yeah.
where she, to me, had it all, but still, you know, a lighter, more different person, still as a woman, was what she felt like was a threat to her. I don't know that I even really, I don't know. I felt the husband was overly flirtatious and I would have had to punch him in the face. But I don't necessarily know that I ever got that they went any further.
So it's interesting because in the book, I didn't get that he was very flirtatious. I thought that she was just being extremely insecure, which I thought was interesting, that she was being insecure because this woman looked so white, which brought out the insecurities of maybe just her life and her skin color and what she was, you know, moving towards, even though it seemed like she was on top of the world.
That's how I perceived it too, Treva.
Yeah, I'm with Rhea. I thought that they were overly flirtatious, mainly because, and I think it's a little bit of both, because I felt like she was insecure also, but because she was so beautiful, so per the book, but she was light, but she was so beautiful on the top of that or whatever. I think she was a little bit envious of that. But I did feel like a little bit of flirtation on both ends.
And see, the movie to me made me think she was thinking more into it when it was. But when I read the book, I absolutely was thinking, okay, they messed around. Even though it didn't say it, just reading the book, I would have assumed that. So when I watched the twist of the movie, it was like, maybe it was he just needed to be told to cut it out before I have to stab you.
It's funny, right? I got the exact opposite.
Me too,
like,
Lynn. I got the exact opposite.
I was thinking that it was like the insecurity of her being like, you know, she's more passing than I am. It's my own identity with my own like color issues. And then seeing her husband get along with somebody that maybe would have made his life easier if she was more passing type thing. And jealous of like that connection with another woman is all I like saw or perceived of it. Not really like they were messing around behind the scenes. It was more like she just is not funnier, but smarter and more attractive, more charming. But that's what her insecurities was giving out to me.
Yeah.
But I also felt like just some of the angles and the scenes in the movie also gave me a little bit of maybe her husband felt some kind of way with how she was acting with the white man. Like some flashes of that when he was like kind of, because when she first said something and she's easy on the eye, reading the book, I was thinking he was like, she sure is. But in the movie, it wasn't. It was more like here she go again.
Right. You know what? I forgot about that part in the movie. But when she said easy on the eye in the book, my mind went directly to, oh, she's feeling insecure about this woman. And she thinks that this woman is more beautiful because she's more passing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the husband was seeing like her interaction with the I can't think of the man's name, the white witch guy, you know, he kind of kept looking at her, talking to him like, and then they were kind of like, you know, in each other's face and stuff. So I was like, you know, maybe his insecurities made him go after the other woman too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different
angles. It was a lot of different angles. I'm sorry, Champagne. Were you going to say?
I was going to say the same thing. It's all about perspective, because I just feel like she did definitely have insecurities. I think it was slight flirtation, but more of her on her end, like more of her being like just her charming self. Because I feel like she did that at the party. She was just more charming and more wanting to converse with everyone versus Rennie, just kind of more quiet, I guess. I don't know. It's definitely her insecurities for sure. I didn't get that they were messing around at all.
What happened? My camera fell. But you know what is weird? You can tell just from the whole aspect of Rennie's the one running the dinner parties, Rennie's the one doing all this, that her personality may have been closer to Claire's until Claire came in the picture. Because everybody was like, Rennie. So Rennie probably had this personality until Claire came in the picture. And then she was a fun person in the group. She hosted everybody because she did. She hosted the party. She ran things. So obviously she had to have that kind of personality. But somehow once Claire was there, it was almost like if you look in the circle, her and Claire were the only really, really light ones.
Yeah.
So maybe Claire made her insecurities come out because she was now competition for her, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
All the way
she,
around.
that was
That's
that
a great
role.
perception.
And
Yeah,
then she's kind of like not
yeah.
overshadowed, but like took that role from her because, you know, we've all been in situations where we're the token Black person or like things like that. And so sometimes like feeling that pressure to be like a certain politically correct and that customer service voice, like things like that come into play with not just the passing aspect, but like being adaptable. So I'm putting my mindset into like 1920s when the book was supposed to be set to. That would have made a lot of sense.
I agree with Rhea with the she basically took her shine in all aspects, with her being lighter, her being prettier, and her being more social. So yeah, I can see that for sure.
And her man.
And her
Don't
man.
forget her man.
And her man.
Yeah.
And she seemed like she was so happy that the God, I feel so bad. I can't think of the guy's name. The rich guy wasn't really interested in her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the relationship between the guy that you're talking about and Arlene, I think also demonstrates, even though Arlene was all about her Black husband and her Black kids, that maybe she still had that thirst to
Was that her name?
with the white.
Irene. I was going to tell Tree it was Irene.
Irene, sorry.
That's my mom's name. So I was just like, wait, was that her name?
You can just change the name.
Sorry. You know me. I'm going to change a name and a title at the drop of a dime.
The white man's name is Brian.
Brian.
Redfield.
Okay, so
It was going to drive me crazy. I had to look
Eileen's
it up.
relationship with Brian, that closeness and all of that is sort of like, okay, like, so were you really trying to be close with the white community, even though you're kind of perpetrating? Like, I just feel like there was identity struggles with every person in that movie or in that book. Well, and in the movie, since we're talking about the comparison of the movie already.
Well,
No, I fully agree.
I felt like she only passed in certain areas. She tried to just to enjoy the day. Like, I'm going to enjoy lunch and I can just be to myself or whatever. I think she used it to her advantage when she needed to. I don't think she was trying hard to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other one was really like trying to be white.
Yeah.
Had her hat pulled down. And to me, nose, all lips, I don't even know. Anybody didn't look. All they did was see color and kept on looking, which is so interesting. All they did was see the tone.
Because as soon as I turned it on, I'm like, there's no way in the world they would pass for me.
But as she said, it's very easy for us as Black people. We know the difference.
Yes.
But white people don't know the difference. I expected like a Lisa Bonet looking somebody because I'm
so I was thinking about that when it came to casting. I'm not getting into the casting, but when it came to like the whole colorism portion of it and the passing issue, I was like hoping that they didn't actually get someone that was biracial or had like more of a white look to them. I wanted them to still have the African American look, but just have the lighter tone, because that's what it's all about, is like being 100% African American, but having the passing skin tone. And so when a movie came on, it was a little slow and weird. So I was like, what's happening? But I also was like, oh, okay. They actually got a Black person. Thank you.
Right. I agree with you. I'm glad that they did that also, because we could tell off the bat
1000%.
and was not a white woman. So I guess moving to the movie, one of the questions I was asking, or I was thinking about, was whether or not, of course, the author had any involvement. But Lynn, you shared with me that what now?
She was born in 1891 and passed away in 1964. And they didn't start production on this.
We were all even being thought of.
So it's a strong belief that that's a negative.
I hope she wasn't.
Right. Yeah. I forgot about the time frames, but the reason why I asked is because, in my opinion, I don't know how you guys felt, I felt like that adaptation was so on point, because I hated the ending in the movie also. Mm-hmm. But even though the movie was slow and quite boring because it followed the storyline of the book to me, which was slow, I just felt like it was so on point. I can't pinpoint anything or even any characters that I wasn't happy with.
You know what, though? They did change her calling Claire. Because in the book, she did not call Claire to warn Claire about her husband. In the movie, she called Claire.
Did she?
Yep.
I remember that in the movie.
He just wasn't able to get her on the phone.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
And I was just like, to me, that's what I would picture somebody doing. You know what? I ain't about to make all these. I tried and I'm over. But I just, knowing the consequences of Claire being caught, jealous or not, I just don't see it. I don't see us doing that to one another.
No, not at all. Which goes back to showing that, she really was jealous of her, because why wouldn't you warn someone? This could be life or death, obviously. And to not, in the book, especially in the book, for her not to have called her at all.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that in good conscience. So.
Yeah, it was good though, Tree, but I actually think it was a good pick. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I mean, I have had a few already, but I think it was a good pick.
It was not bad. It was just slow, but other than that, it wasn't bad at all. I feel like in the movie that Rennie damn near pushed Claire to her husband. Oh no, you guys go. No, I'm okay. You guys go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yes, she was trying to.
Happen. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I'll be like, sit down, wait for me.
Exactly. I don't care how long I take. You don't wait for me.
You messed up in the beginning because, this woman is the most flirtatious person you have ever met,
right?
And you and your husband was already having issues,
right? Exactly.
Don't be mad now.
And do y'all agree with the husband's issues about how they're raising their kids? And
I agree with the husband 100%.
That's what I think is really pointed to nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
But that was in the movie, but that perspective wasn't in the book, right?
I don't
think that was a little twist in the.
Yes, it was. It was in the book.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
He was talking at the dinner table, and he was trying to tell her about people not liking you because you're Black and calling you the N-word. And she said, "No, we are not going to talk about this right now. No, we're not going to talk about this."
Oh, okay. You know what? You're right. I just feel like they made it more prominent in the movie. Maybe they expanded that conversation. Mm-hmm. But I agree with the daddy 100% on that. Like, you can't sugarcoat it. I'm sorry. And it's not like they were babies.
Let them know now.
Exactly.
He was born into it. Let them know now.
Right.
Because to me, that conversation, not having that conversation, is what leads to kids getting hurt after I just been watching
unsafe.
In Matilda's
too
story.
Trusting, especially in that time, way too trusting. So having that like open, candid conversation is like so necessary, especially when it comes to like a life and death like situation, potential.
7 years old, and mine had that conversation about 6 times already. No jokes aside. You're gonna hear it.
You're overdoing it.
You're gonna hear it once a week because I'm gonna need you to pay attention.
Like, pay attention.
So my only other issue with this movie is so her husband, Rennie knew, or her husband knew that she thought that it was something going on with them too, because she said it to him, right? So my thing is, if my husband suspected that I thought he was cheating for a second, I feel like he would be more likely not to be in hidden corners with Claire. Right. He was all in the corner talking. Like, how did you get her face?
Did he say it in the book? Did she say something to him in the book?
I don't know. I know in the movie.
Never said it. She never said anything.
She implied it in the movie. I don't know about the book.
He made little weird comments, but as we all know, men don't get those. If you don't say it, boom, right here, they don't hear it, they don't see it, they don't even get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you're right. I mean, he shouldn't have done it, but I felt like if you had a problem with it, you got to be a woman about it and say it. Like, I'm gonna need you to get up out her face, or we're gonna have a problem, because there's a lot of faces I can get up into.
Don't forget that.
We see it, Jaja.
And one more.
Lord, slow it down.
Jaja.
So what did y'all think about the casting picks?
I'm a big fan of Tessa Thompson, Rennie.
Yeah.
So I like the casting, actually.
I was really comfortable with it.
I mean, I thought they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pick. I mean, even Claire's husband, I hated him. When a character makes me hate them, I'm like, oh, you're a good actor.
They also talked about how attractive he was, and he was an attractive white man. I mean, I just think they did really good with him.
They did. Yeah, the worst part of that movie is when he was talking about, Black people, and, Claire sitting there laughing like, look at that. And then Rennie just like, she was so uncomfortable and so angry that she just bust out laughing like, y'all tripping right now. Like I was
being punked.
right.
Twilight Zone.
If it was those times, that's what she would have said.
Yeah.
Right.
The Twilight
Imagine
Zone.
being in that situation. Like, what in the world would I do?
I mean, that laugh was so deep and hurt and like unbelief and disbelief. It was perfect. It was she pulled that
in a
laugh off.
sunken place. But the opposite.
But you know what? How about though Claire's husband after, the incident?
Oh.
Like seriously, he called her all these names. He did all this, but in the end, did you just see him like sitting on the corner distraught? And that's basically how they kind of pictured in the book to me.
Yeah.
That was what gave me the hint that they had a little bit more going on than what I was thinking the whole time. But then I'm like, no, it would have been more obvious to me, but maybe I'm just like oblivious to it.
Husband.
I know, I'm just saying, I tend to be oblivious to things that actually are obvious to others.
No.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, wait, y'all saw this? When did this happen? So yeah.
I like it. I really enjoyed the book.
All right, y'all ready to rate? Y'all ready to rate?
I'm ready.
I'm going first, full glass, because the adaptation was all that.
I also give it a
like
full
the book.
glass.
I don't care if you ain't like the movie. The adaptation.
The adaptation was spot on. I give it a full glass also.
I'll jump in and give my full glass. I've had a full glass or two already, so got a full glass from me.
Full glasses. I'll give it a full glass also. So that means full bottle.
Full bottle. Sound like Treva and did it again.
Whatever.
I'm saying what?
Ready. Yeah, I'm ready to finish this, John. I'm glad y'all gave it a full glass because in my household now, that's the only way I can finish it because certain people think during the podcast I drink too much. So you got to drink a full glass when it gets a full glass.
Well, the feedback I got from your family was that every time we record, you're drunk. And so,
but I also feel like when it's like a really bad adaptation that really like pisses you off, you have to have a full glass also.
She does drink a little bit more when it's bad and she's fussing. You're
exactly.
Right.
That's a full bottle right there.
Because it's like I gotta what do you call it? I gotta censor myself.
Yep. Yes, Ray, continue that, please. Sorry, your family, but continue that.
Right. Yeah. They said that she's always drunk and they just feel like the podcast is turning her into an alcoholic. I'm just saying.
Whatever.
Blame it on COVID. Blame it on COVID.
Quarantine.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us for this review. We really would love to hear what you think about this book to movie adaptation. Give us some feedback. Read the book, watch the movie. It's a very short read, so you can do it like that. And let us know what you think.
And the movie's short too. It's like an hour and some change, right?
Yeah. It's pretty short.
Yeah, it was like 90 minutes, but the book on like Audible was only like 3 hours long, so it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Check it out, people.
Read it. Check it out. Read it. Watch it. Read it. Watch it. Read it. Watch it.
That's our new theme song. Read it. Book a watch. Book a watch.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.